Hello everybody, this is me, the Half-Blood Studios.
I guess this will be my first time ever doing a voiceover, so I guess bear with me. This is for a commission, and you asked for it, so here it is.
This piece in particular is for She Is Hazard on DeviantArt, and this lovely spooky boy's name is Kenrick. He was an absolute pleasure to draw, but I promise you, by far the hardest part was getting his mouth right. It's so cute in all the references I was given for the character, but just, you can see just how many times I had to redo it. Then I think the other part in the sketching process that gave me a bit of trouble was the folds in his clothing. It's something that I'm still trying to work on. I think for this particular piece, the folds underneath the wrappings around his knee is what really got it for me. Now here I've started the line art, and I guess it's pretty straightforward. I'll add though that I love his floofy hair and the whole ghost and his collar, but I think that puffballs are one thing that gave me a little bit of trouble, especially during the sketch, but I think they turned out alright. I love drawing fluff. You can see I do fix the folds around his knees a couple of times. And here you'll see me just filling in some of the different sections of the line art to add a little bit of line differentiation, thickening up some parts and leaving others thinner. I think it adds visual interest to the piece, so it's something that I like to incorporate into my style, especially recently as I've started doing more digital art, since it's a little easier with pens and pressure sensitivity to get that line weight when you're doing traditional art. And so this is just an extra step I've added to my digital pieces to, I think it makes it a little bit better looking for parts where there's lines that connect, or especially long lines, or to separate different layers, like where his arm is behind his back, to make it a little more three-dimensional and just make it a little more cohesive, I think. And then you see here I start doing the hatching for the shading, and I was given a couple of different options for how to do his eyes. He just had the irises of his eyes were black, or the whole eyes are black, and I think I like what I ended up doing with his eyes. And then yeah, the hatching for places like under his hat, which would be the darkest, and under his neck I did crisscross hatching, but for the most part I just did the, I guess, singular lines. I'm sorry, I don't know technical terms here. I think one thing I might do differently if I do this shading style again in a clean line art, so it's not just in a sketch like where I usually would use hatching. I think I might actually draw lines where I would do the cell shading first, the crisp edges and such, so that would help with areas where the shading kind of rounds off, like on his face, and you'll see in a minute here at the tops of his legs, underneath his, yeah, there it is. I mess around with it a few times to try and make it look rounder, and I think drawing a line on a separate layer is something that would have helped me a lot. So I think in the future I'll do that, or if you are, I guess, interested in this kind of style of shading, it's something I might suggest. Even in traditional pieces too, I think it could help just pencil in. And here I tried a few different things to change up the background a little bit, and it's also when I decided to try coloring the hatching to see what that would look like, and I think I really like how it turned out. You can see the colored stripes of his clothes, and I think it was just more interesting than the black line art. And then you can also see I tried a few different things with the background, changing from the black to the colored hatching. And then you can see finally here the one that the commissioner liked best, and this is the final piece.